Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction, and this is our Dolphins OP, the whale tier list. Yeah, dolphins are considered whale, huh? I didn't know that. Cetaceans, I know that. Cetaceans are some of the most uniquely powerful builds in the history of the game. With some abilities even humans envy. Oh yeah, the echo thing, radar thing. Yeah, I know that. So yeah, dolphins are, orcas are also part of this, right? Whale, dolphin tier list. What's that video? Game breaking physics or something like that, in which the intro was just that just slowly just came down, it just slams the tail upwards and created this kind of a sonic boom type attack. That was so awesome. So orcas can do that. I don't know how many whales can do that, but it's gonna be fun. TierZoo is a great channel. I don't know nothing about animals, but I'm learning slowly as I react to this channel, and this channel is fun. He explains things with like it's a game or something. That's how he explains. He calls nature, God, whatever you call it, the devs. It's fun. Dev introduce new patch and things like that. This is so funny. So yeah, I've read to quite a few TierZoo videos already. If you haven't seen them, check out the cast. There's a playlist I created for it. Check out the link in the description with all of my videos. Not everything has playlist. And yeah, let's watch this one.
This episode was sponsored by Wix.
Oh shit. That was so good. It was intense. Did you see that? It wasn't just part of the collision. Whale actually came and deliberately went left just to attack him. Look at that.
The Cetacean class is one of the most powerful build types in the history of the game. Some of the most broken abilities and some of the most powerful stats can be accessed by playing this build. When it comes to the marine server, Cetaceans boast some of the highest intelligence and HP stats possible, and they're relatively new to the competitive scene.
Wait a minute, these whales must be confused whenever they see submarines, right? Submarines are also massive black, but they're obviously more massive than these whales are. And, they also use this radar technology, so obviously they could detect this. Like, this thing is also sending radar, so they'll be confused. Wait a minute, this is one of us? I've never seen this before.
The story of the Cetacean's rise to power is perhaps one of the most unique stories in the entire history of the game. The Cetacean build began when some low-level mammal players tried to create a mammalian version of the crocodile build. It didn't work very well catching players on the shore, and because warm-blooded builds have a higher food cost, this was especially problematic. But this build was surprisingly effective at catching fish in the water due to their high aquatic agility. And so they basically just kept spending evolution points buffing traits related to hunting fish until eventually they'd reallocated just about all of their land-based ability skill points to aquatic ones. It wasn't long before the seas were dominated by cetacean players, both of the smaller, more agile variety and of the new giant powerhouse variety. Skipping forward to today, we've got a multitude of powerful cetacean builds occupying different roles within the meta. So as always, let's delve into the different variations of the cetacean class and rank them on a tier list. Now, I'm happy to say that I'm gonna have to start pretty high up on the tier list when rating cetaceans. There aren't any I could even consider at or below average.
Yeah, no whale sucks, man.
All of them are at least B tier. But yeah, starting in B tier we have the two cetacean builds that are specifically adapted to the Arctic server, the Beluga and the Narwhal. So the Beluga and the Narwhal both made sacrifices to mobility in order to gain the cold resistance perk that they needed in order to survive the Arctic server. On top of the typical choice to put points into blubber, Belugas and Narwhals both also opted to cut the dorsal fin perk, which lowers their overall agility in the water but helps conserve heat. Both also made significant sacrifices to their vision, but luckily for them, cetaceans have access to one of the most overpowered abilities in the entire game, Echolocation. Only a few classes have unlocked this ability: cetaceans, bats, shrews, and a few others, and it lets them entirely negate the stealth abilities of other players. If you're playing as a fish, crustacean, or cephalopod, and you hear this sound, know that you've been detected and will need to either take cover or prepare to fight. This ability also helps them detect locations where they can resurface to breathe, since a big danger of the whale's playstyle of living down under the ice is being unable to find an opening in the...
What is funny is there will be one day where genetically modification will be a thing, CRISPR and everything. So there will be one day where people will actually extract this echolocation thing from these dolphins and things and put it into humans. So there will be a first human who has an echolocator. So that would be a literally superpower man. He will be literally a superhero because he has an echolocator. I mean, at night, he doesn't have to, need night vision or nothing. He has echolocator. He can find anything. That would be literally a superpower.
The ice where they can come up for air. In the case of the narwhal, their tusk does grant them bonus damage and a pretty powerful intimidation buff. But honestly, they don't really need this. They're already quite well suited to taking out fish players. But the extra attack range certainly doesn't hurt. The only reason I rate these builds as lower than other cetaceans is because the other builds are more versatile in the servers that they can play on, rather than limiting themselves only to the Arctic. At the top end of B tier, we have the Boto, a smaller cetacean build specifically adapted for the Amazon River.
Oh, so
this
red?
Build is special because it puts the maximum amount of evolution points into the Echolocation skill. Along its snout are whiskers that buff the accuracy of Echolocation's target locating effect. This offsets the near total blindness of the Boto. The Boto doesn't really have a ton of competition in its local meta, so it's tough to gauge its prowess in combat. The other top tiers of the region include the Jaguar and the Otter, but neither of them are big enough or mobile enough to successfully bring down a Boto. It'd be a lot easier to place them if they had to contend with crocodiles and sharks for control of the rivers. But the one thing that I can say is that one of the cetacean's other big weaknesses is particularly bad for the Boto. Cetaceans lack a sense of smell, and this leaves them particularly vulnerable to pollution. Pollution is a big problem in the Amazon, and without the ability to sense when the water around you is contaminated, the Boto is at a pretty high risk for being poisoned by the waste generated by human players. Next on the tier list is a group that I personally really dislike.
Again, all this ability getting neglected by simple humans, like being careless, I guess. Humans always screws up everybody.
Being kinda lazy brain-dead characters that are nonetheless extremely powerful. I'm talking about Baleen Whales, such as the blue whale and humpback whale.
What?
Baleen whales are a variation of the cetacean build that arose when cetaceans first really hit the big time, reaching such a massive size that size alone was the only defense that they really needed. And so they kinda just took all of the really cool, unique abilities that cetaceans had and said, well, why would I need that when I can just be real big? And so they opted to sacrifice their echolocation ability to reach the maximum HP level attainable. They also
So how are they lazy? So they are big. What is that? That's not their fault. I mean, they are big. I mean, they don't need things. If they don't need things, they don't need things. I don't see how that's an issue. How that makes them not powerful.
also traded their teeth for an entirely new style of weapon called Baleen. Baleen doesn't do any damage in combat, except against players in the micro weight class. Most of the time, larger builds don't bother griefing players in the micro weight class, simply because they aren't worth the XP. But Baleen is so efficient at catching krill that whales can rack up an absurdly high KD ratio, enough to offset the low XP value from each individual krill. There's something about the largest builds in the game having a game plan centered entirely around winning against the smallest players in the game that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, now I see. That's why he says that they're lazy, because they say screw some of these abilities. I'm just big, and then they attack the smallest thing, so they don't have to fight. I understand how they're lazy now.
But I can't deny that baleen whales are nearly invincible because of their size,
Yeah.
and because of that, they earn a pretty easy A tier spot.
I mean, regardless how you see it, I mean, they are big. It's not their problem. Everything else is just the way it is. They are big, so they are kind of OP.
That can pose a threat to them are humans and the top contender on this list. But this isn't to say that you can't make the giant style build work while still retaining what makes the cetacean build interesting. The sperm whale retains all the awesome cetacean abilities and has some pretty powerful stats to back it up.
Damn.
And it uses them to fight against some of the most powerful opponents in the entire ocean
Giant
server,
squid.
the giant squid. Sperm whales have mastered the giant squid matchup, and despite the squid's claws, beak, and superior mobility, the whale wins almost every time. That's it for A tier, but we've still got the top tier left. First, we've got the best intelligence build in the entire ocean server, the Bottlenose Dolphin. They're by far
Wait a minute. Can dolphins, kill blue whale? Those giant whales? I don't think they can. So he says only people that threaten these big whales is the humans and the top tier of this list. So dolphins can kill blue whale. Is that it? How is that possible? Blue whale is humongous.
The most widespread and numerous cetacean build, and it's no surprise why so many players chose the dolphin as their main.
SeaWorld.
Even though they didn't spec into the baleen trait, they can still catch a huge amount of small fish by using their intelligence and team strategies to set traps. meaning that a coordinated assault by a group of dolphin mains can easily mean game over for entire schools of fish. Dolphins have great matchups against the other top tiers of the ocean meta, like the octopus and shark. Their echolocation completely negates the otherwise undetectable stealth that octopi have in their shapeshift ability. They're pretty much defenseless once detected, as even their ink cloud ability doesn't counter the dolphin's sonar. Sharks are a different story. Sharks are perhaps the
that octopus does that smoke screen type of effect, doesn't it? This black smoke type thing. But obviously, echolocator doesn't care about this, so that's not going to work. That is true. And dolphins, I've seen some of the videos where dolphins work together in groups ridiculously, so they're really powerful in that sense. I mean, they could coordinate group attack very well.
One build in the game with an even more powerful sensory ability than dolphins. Electroreception allows them to sense any movement made by a nearby player, and works in a full 360-degree circle around them, not just directly in front like sonar does. So you'd think sharks would be a huge problem for dolphin players, and one-on-one they certainly are, especially since dolphins don't really have any powerful offensive moves. But
Mantis shrimp, what is that?
They know exactly where to hit a shark in order to deal maximum damage, gills. A few good head bashes to the gills is enough to turn the tide of battle pretty quickly against them. Dolphins are even good at messing with humans, something very few builds actually succeed at.
That is
but
so
if you
good.
want to really be able to bully humans, you're going to need to play as the #1 build on this list, which is coincidentally the #2 ranked build in the entire game, second only to humans themselves. And this is of course the Orca. Orca mains are the most disrespectful DM players in the history of Outside. Their up throw is second to none in terms of damage, and gives the victim plenty of time to contemplate their poor character choice. Orcas are also perhaps the best marine build for dealing with platform campers. Their high intelligence level enables them to either bait an approach,
Holy
or if
shit.
that doesn't work,
Did that just happen?
play their poor character choice. Orcas are also perhaps the best marine build for
Here,
dealing with
it's
platform
for you.
campers.
Just take
Their
it.
high intelligence
Come
level
here.
enables them to either bait an
That was so good, man.
approach, or if that doesn't work, they'll generate a wave to knock their opponent off the ground. Their intelligence level is only a tiny bit below the dolphins, but that's plenty enough to give the Orca all the smarts it needs to deal with the defensive strategies of the likes of dolphins.
Yeah, but look at the power. Power plus intelligence. That alone makes them very powerful. And HP and mobility is also good. Damn, that is so good, isn't it?
Seals, and even other whales. They've also got enough smarts to know not to make enemies with humans. There have been no fatal attacks on humans by wild Orca mains. Now, this isn't to say that they don't mess
Oh shit, they don't attack humans. They know, okay, this is not the bridge I want to cross. I love this, man. They are really smart.
with each other every so often. Orcas will divert the course of ships, humans will acidify the ocean, classic pranks. But all in all, the Orca player base knows that the best way to stay at #2 on the tier list is not to anger the ridiculously OP human player base.
Yeah.
So one question that I get a lot is whether or not I think a cetacean build...
Two orcas talking, one like, man, fuck this. I'm gonna punch that, I'm gonna tail whip that human right there. And another orca like, they have machine guns, man, and we have tails, so shut the fuck up. This is so good, man. They are really smart.
Could supplant humans and claim the #1 spot. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Cetaceans have the intelligence, but I can't see anything beating humans without unlocking some of the higher rungs on the tech tree.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, these are basically unreachable without control of fire and also eventually control of electricity, both of which are pretty much impossible to unlock through gameplay on the marine servers. They'd also need to put some points into dexterity so that they could actually use tools. This is also really difficult because if they just traded their fins for hands, they'd lose too much mobility to be able to catch fish. They may not be able to build their own civilizations, but they still might be able to build a website using Wix because of how easy they make the design process.
Damn, I love orcas, man. They are so awesome. I didn't know that. They are really smart. They also avoid humans because they know humans can fuck them up. I love this one, man. Alright, people, that was our Dolphins OP, the whale tier list. If you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast world playlist. Check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.